Tarisi Olaf Frederick Nelson, the 24th of February 1883 to 28 February 1944, also known as Tarisi F. Nelson, was a successful businessman and one of the founding leaders of the Mau movement for Samoan independence from colonial rule. He was born on the 24th of February 1883 at Safune on the island of Savai'i, Samoa, and died in Apia on the 28th of February 1944. He was a successful planter, businessman and statesman. He was the son of a Swedish trader August Nilspeter Gustav Nelson and his Samoan wife, Sinagogo Masoe, whose family had links to the Sa Tupua, a prominent chiefly family. His name Tarisi is a matai chief title from his mother's family from the Savai'i village of Asau. Nelson's early years saw him working in his father's business, and he became a successful merchant in his own right. He expanded his father's copra trading business throughout the islands, and by the time he was 35, Nelson was one of the wealthiest members of the Apia community. He was influential in both the Samoan and European communities under German rule, when the country was called German Samoa, 1900 to 1914. The colonial administrators treated Nelson as an equal. But after New Zealand seized control in 1914, Nelson was excluded and alienated by the new government. Despite being elected to the Legislative Council in 1924, he could do little as he and the other elected members were constantly overruled by the more numerous government appointees. This treatment turned Nelson into one of the major forces in the Samoan independence movement, known as the Mau. In May 1927, Nelson founded a newspaper, the Samoa Guardian, to support its claims. In response to his growing public dissent, the New Zealand administration tried to brand Nelson as unscrupulous and a troublemaker. The colonial administration's desperation to silence Nelson led them to exile him in January 1928. Along with two other part European members of the Mau. During his 5 years of exile, Nelson took his protests as far as the League of Nations in Geneva. 6 months after his return to Samoa, Nelson was sentenced to 10 additional years in exile as well as 8 months imprisonment in New Zealand. This was cut short in 1936. After Labour won the New Zealand general election in 1935, he returned to Samoa, and helped in the signing of the cooperation agreement between Samoan leaders and the New Zealand administration. Death. Nelson died in 1944, and it was not until 1962 that his dream of Samoan independence was realized. Legacy. Nelson's grandson Tupua Tamases Tupuola Tarisi EFI was the third Prime Minister of Western Samoa, and from 2007 to the present he is, as Tui Atua Tupua Tamases Tarisi EFI, the head of state of Samoa. The Nelson Memorial Public Library was donated to the Samoan people by the Nelson family in Tarisi's memory. His other grandson Misa Telefoni Retzlaff, Herman Theodore Retzlaff, was in Parliament from 1988 to 2010, and the Deputy Prime Minister of Samoa from 2000 to 2010. Bibliography. O'Brien, Patricia, Tarisio, F. Nelson and Sir Maui Pomari. Samoans and Maori Reunited. Journal of Pacific History. 49. 1 2014 http www.tanfonline.com Tok CJPH20 current hash VDDBML7 RPG4 Lara C. Hugh Nelson Olaf Frederick 1883 to 1944 Dictionary of New Zealand Biography updated 7 April 2006 Dictionary of New Zealand Biography Guardians and Wards a study of the origins, causes, and the first 2 years of the Mau in Western Samoa. Albert Vent, New Zealand Electronic Text Centre.